Well, I think it's terrible news, and I don't think it's a good thing for anyone. I don't think it's even a good thing for fans of the largest clubs in the world. I'm even more against it as an owner than I am as a fan. But forget about our club. We're in the fourth tier, and obviously we're aspiring to one day be able to compete against the Juventuses and the Inters and the Milans of the world. This basically takes all of that hope away from little clubs like ours. Think about being a fan of Roma, thinking about being a fan of Atalanta. You can't dream big. There's a loss of hope. Then that's going to have an impact on the local economy and tourism. Maybe now, people aren't traveling as much as they are to see the games in their stadiums because they're not as interested.
What is up, everybody, and welcome back to Italian Football TV. We have a very special guest today alongside with me, Mr. Matt Rizzetta, who is the owner of Campobasso. You guys know, if you've been following IFTV's content, that we've been doing a lot with them. We have a great content partnership with them. They're a team in Serie D, in case this is their first time ever hearing. And I wanted to bring Matt on because we've got this news of a European Super League that might be happening soon. And I think it would be great to get a perspective from a club owner, an official club owner, just to see how things are going. First of all, Matt, thank you so much on short notice to be here. I really appreciate it.
Marco, always a pleasure. Hope you and the team at IFTV are doing well.
We're doing well, man. We were hoping for a Campobasso win today. I know it ended in a tie, but things still looking good.
Between our draw today and then the rumors on the Super League, it's I've had better Sundays, I guess you could say.
I know. I understand, and I think that you share the sentiment of a lot of people all around the world right now. And you and I were texting a little bit back and forth, and I don't want to give a full scope of what exactly happened for all the people that are watching right now who don't understand or who didn't hear the news, because we know we posted on our Instagram and we posted all across social media, and people have been confused. And to be honest, I think all of us are a little bit confused right now because we don't know exactly what it means. But basically, early in the day, we started getting reports from all of the major outlets, ESPN, Equipe, all over, saying that this Super League, which was an idea that's been around for a little while, where the top teams all across Europe would form, a major European competition and basically get rid of the Champions League, get rid of their current domestic leagues and form this one major group. The news started intensifying today as there are still reports. As of right now, as of recording, there has been no announcement, but they say that within a few hours, there might be an official announcement that this Super League could could start. Let me read for you a couple of the teams that would be involved. Of course, we care mostly about the Serie A clubs, but Juventus, Milan, and Inter would be the three Italian clubs. And then the other teams from the other leagues would be Manchester United, Liverpool, Man City, Arsenal, Chelsea, Tottenham, Barcelona, Real Madrid, and Atletico Madrid. At the moment, all of the German teams and all of the French teams are not participating in the competition. Matt, first off, once you heard this news, what did you think as a football fan first, besides being a club owner?
Well, I think it's terrible news. I think football, forget about being an owner. I grew up with football and calcio, and there's so much romance and so much there's the Italian football and the European football system is one of the most unique and romantic sports systems out of any sport in the world. And I think that whole system as we know it and as we grew up with it is at risk. And I don't think it's a good thing for anyone. I don't think it's even a good thing for fans of the largest clubs in the world. I think it's terrible news, and I really hope it doesn't happen. And that's me speaking first and foremost as a fan. Forget about speaking as an owner, which I'm even more against it as an owner than I am as a fan. But as a fan, I think it's horrible news.
Yeah, and I think you share the sentiment of a lot of fans. I've just noticed from our comment section, people are really upset. Not only, like you said, not only from some of the smaller teams, but I think in general, some people are feeling like this could really kill football as a whole. Because what it would mean, again, just to make it very clear, and I know it's confusing, and again, these are still just reports. We don't know how it's officially going to go, but it would mean that Milan, Inter, and Juventus are no longer part of the Serie A and will no longer participate in Champions League. So really, football as we know it will cease to exist, basically.
Yeah, no, absolutely, Marco. I think I think this will have a daisy chain effect too. You're looking at how many is it? 16 clubs that would be participating in the Super League. Is that right?
They're talking about between 12 to 15 clubs. Yes.
Okay, but I mean, just put aside those, 12, 15 clubs, whatever, put them aside for a second. I mean, just think about the effect this will have at all levels of football, at all, in all countries, all leagues. I mean, I think it will discourage investment. We were talking a lot about the need for more foreign investment in some leagues, Italy in particular, to sort of breathe new life and innovation and kind of get that league to the next level. It's going to discourage those sorts of investments. I mean, how would you forget about our club? We're in the fourth tier, and obviously we're aspiring to one day be able to compete against the Juventuses and the Inters and the Milans of the world. This basically takes all of that hope away from little clubs like ours. But forget about our club for a second. How would you like to feel? How would you feel if you were, the Friedkin Group, for example, that just spent $700 million on Roma, and just with one or two minor tweaks, why can't Roma aspire to compete with the best and biggest clubs in the world? Now all of a sudden, they're not even a part of this. So clubs like that, forget about our clubs. Talk about clubs that are sort of constantly, flirting with the elite of European football. You're now discouraging investment even in those clubs. And then think about the cultural effect. Think about being a fan of Roma, thinking about being a fan of Atalanta, think about being a fan of Lazio. Now all of a sudden you can't dream big. There's no more, there's a loss of hope. Then that's going to have an impact on the local economy and tourism. Maybe now, people aren't traveling as much as they are to see the games in their stadiums because they're not as interested. And then think about, there's just so much tradition and culture tied to these places and with these clubs. You're sort of taking the hope of entire regions and fan bases away permanently. And I think it's a terrible thing. And I hope it's just a rumor, and I hope it doesn't happen.
Yeah, that's a great perspective, like that, and that's why you're a businessman over here. That you see it from that perspective, and that was one of the things I was going to ask you. Like, of course, and for full context, ESPN is saying that there would be 5 teams that can move up and down to be promoted into the league. The real idea is so that these big teams, they can never be relegated. So these guys, they have security that they're never going to go down, even though most of these clubs would never go down in their respective leagues. But there would be 5 teams based off performances, which we don't understand yet what performances really mean. But there would only be 5 that could go up and down into this league. And that's what I was going to ask you. So for full context, Matt has invested into Campobasso, which is a 4th division Italian team. Do you think that this would, and you already, basically said it, but do you think at scale, why would somebody come and invest into football if they can't get into this elite group of competition?
Look, I think that to answer your question, I think it's going to discourage a lot of people like myself from investing. I mean, look, we love our club. I would invest in Campobasso, 100 times out of 100. The issue is that forget about the money for a second. You're taking the competitiveness out of the sport. And that's really what hurts me the most. I mean, we're sitting around every day managing our club in the 4th tier, and we have big hopes. One day we have big dreams. It's really dreams that brought me to Campobasso in the first place, to invest in there. I always dreamed of managing an Italian football club and bringing, breathing hope and life into a place where my grandparents immigrated from. Now with this Super League, we're obviously several levels and several years removed from even being, able to compete at the elite level of Italian football. But that small sliver of hope that clubs like ours have, you're taking that hope is now entirely gone. You're taking it entirely away from us. And I think what you're doing is beyond just impacting the economics of the club and the reason for investing in the first place, you're really taking the sense of purpose and the sense of pride that these people, and the sense of hope that these people and these fans have with their club away. Like, you can't ever convince me in 2021 that if we don't make the right moves and the right investments and work hard, that one day we can aspire to be at the elite level of our competition, which is Serie A in European football. You can't convince me that we wouldn't be able to do that. And now with the Super League, you're basically saying it's impossible. And just that loss of hope, I think in itself is anti-competitive, and I think it goes against the every fiber of what makes football, European football and global football, so unique. The relegation and the promotion system, and there's so many stories. Think of all the stories, Marco, of what makes football a beautiful sport. It's Leicester City, and it's Castel di Sangro in Italy, and it's just as much about the small clubs that aspire to big things and have big dreams as it is about the Man Uniteds and the Juventuses and the dynasties. And you're basically taking that whole system and turning it upside down. And I think beyond just the economic side of it, I think you're really impacting the cultural and the social side of it for the fans and the people who are so attached to these clubs. And it would be a terrible thing if it went through.
Yeah, well said. And that's one of the big things. Is it anti-sport? Is it anti-football? Is it anti, everything that we grew up with? Because it would radically change the system. And, they're trying to go towards, this new philosophy, this new idea, which, by the way, the reports are saying, 2023. Obviously, UEFA have been, just to give full context on the story, UEFA put out a very harsh statement. And I think this is where, we started to get nervous on, wait, this actually might come to reality. Because when UEFA releases a statement, it's usually not based off of, some rumors that are happening. There has to be something concrete that they know is going to happen. And UEFA has, reinstated many times that, along with FIFA, that any player that will play in this new competition will be excluded from the Euros, from the World Cup, from any competition going further, which just leads the question into my mind as what does a Messi and a Ronaldo do? They are, would they be excluded from even being inside of a World Cup? So I don't know how, what happens in that situation. Juventus can look at Ronaldo and say, hey, we pay you 31 million a year. You have to do what we say. But on the flip side, is Ronaldo going to give up, fighting for his country, fighting for Portugal at one of, his last World Cups? So I really don't understand how this could logistically happen, but it does seem like it could be a reality that's upon us.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree, Marco. Look, I'm not a legal expert a sports law expert by any stretch, but I would be surprised if UEFA was able to get away with that. I mean, I think, you're talking about the World Cup, you're talking about FIFA, you're talking about players who have endorsements with corporate brands that, have certain parameters and certain restrictions and guidelines around the contracts that govern, their financial relationship with these players. So I would think that would be very difficult for UEFA to pull off. But nonetheless, I respect and admire the position of UEFA, which is that we're going to fight. Obviously, they're fighting for the economic interests of the sport, but they're also fighting. This is about more than just the economics. This is about, like I said before, this is about the integrity of the sport. It's about respecting the tradition, the uniqueness of football. I'm a huge American sports fan, but I don't want to turn football into American sport. I don't want to turn it into, a league that doesn't have promotion and doesn't have relegation and doesn't breathe life into little cities and little towns that, if they play their cards right and do the right thing, one day they can aspire to be at the highest level of their leagues and their sport and their competition. That's what makes football so unique. And if you take that away from this sport, the minute you take that away from this sport, you're taking the life and the breath that makes this sport so unique away from it and also from its fans. I mean, there's no sport that is as passionate and as connected to its fan base as football. And when you break that link, when you breach that, you're breaching it indelibly forever. And I think that would be a major, major, major mistake if it happened.
Yeah, I mean, I think you said every point that basically every football fan is feeling right now. My last question, personally, as a business person, as you are, what do you think this would mean for things such as the TV deal going forward for a league of Serie A without a Milan, without a Juventus, without Inter? What happens with that? How much smaller is the TV rights going to look, and would that really crumble what we have right now?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, I think TV, if you look at the whole revenue picture, I mean, I think this will have a ripple effect across every single revenue stream that currently flows into Serie A, to the Premier League, to La Liga. TV rights obviously is first and foremost. I mean, that's, one of the largest revenue streams for Serie A right now. But think about other things. I mean, think about sponsors, and now you take Juventus, you take Inter, you take Milan out of Serie A. What's the incentive for sponsoring an Atalanta or a Roma when you know that your brand at least 6 to 12 times a year normally is associated on a big stage playing against clubs like Juventus and like Inter when the eyes of the world, or at least of Europe, is watching you. Now you take that away. So what's the incentive? It's going to drop. It's going to drop sponsorship costs. It's going to drop ticket costs, which then think about local employment. If you're, especially in Italy, where right now COVID, that's another thing you have to consider. COVID is already killing the Italian economy. Think about being somebody who's working as an usher in Naples in southern Italy right now, just dying to get the stadiums back so they can go make a living for their family. And now with the Super League, ticket prices that to go to the Maradona or San Paolo, used to be 50 euros a game. Now they're 20 euros a game because it's no longer Juventus they're playing and it's no longer Milan they're playing. So now the ticket prices are dropping. So now the wages that were already low for the ushers and the concession stand people, are even lower than they were. Then they can't support their family, and then that has a ripple effect. This to me would be catastrophic, and it would have a negative ripple effect all the way on to down to the most basic fundamental layers of the food chain of the Italian economy and the European economy. And I really think it would be a horrible thing. I do hope that whatever powers UEFA has to veto this and to put their foot down and to stop it from happening, I hope they're successful at doing it, because forget about the football clubs for a second. I think this would have a negative effect on culture and on society and on people that have for decades and really for centuries now aligned themselves with these clubs and these towns and these cities, and I think that would be an awful thing.
Well said. I didn't even consider their perspective on the cultural level of what it would mean for jobs and stuff. So that's amazing. It's crazy to see what could happen if it did go through. And I think also the dreamer in all of us, or the underdog in all of us, which is a word that you and I like to use a lot, is, imagine this Atalanta who, through hard work and having, the 14th lowest wage bill in the league, is able to overcome that and go into the Champions League and really put new eyeballs on them. I think that Cinderella story is something that,
Absolutely.
would probably hurt all of us. So,
Marco, absolutely. Think about Marco. Think about. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, you're good.
No, I totally agree with you, and that's sort of what I'm saying. I mean, think about the romance and the beauty and the uniqueness of football is exactly what you just said. It's about hope, and it's about dreams, and it's about thinking big and doing the right thing, and knowing that if you do the right thing, one day you too can aspire to be at the highest level of sport. And when you take that away, you're taking so much hope away. I know a lot of your viewers and your listeners are young viewers. I mean, think about getting out of college, right, or high school, and being told, you Marco, or you IFTV viewer, you can't ever aspire to be at the top of your profession, whether it's an IFTV viewer who wants to be, an architect, or wants to be a teacher, or wants to be a doctor. Think about getting out of college and somebody telling you, you can never be the best doctor in the world. You can never be the best lawyer in the world. You can never be the best architect in the world, because there's this little club we have going that says only, these 10 architects can be a part of the best architecture firm, and only these 10 lawyers can be a part of the best law firm. So Marco, can never, ever, no matter what you do, no matter how good you are at your job, no matter how smart you are, no matter how strategic you are, you can never be a part of that club. Just think about what that's doing to you. Think about the message it's sending to you. Think about the hope that it takes away from you. And when you do that, I think you're killing more than just the economy. You're killing the hopes and dreams of millions of people who, for centuries have been able at least to have had the right to aspire to do something big. And I think that would be an awful message to send to people around the world. By the way, in a time in COVID where we need good messages, we need message of hope and dreams, and, yes, you can do things, and positive messages. And this would run completely in contrast to that. And I think it would be catastrophic.
Yeah, well said, Matt. Matt, first of all, thank you so much for your time. I know you came on last second to talk about this, and I think you provided a great perspective that some of us, didn't have, and for a lot of the viewers right now, they might not have considered. As a club owner, you are yourself, and for everybody in the comment section, I want you, first of all, to thank Matt. Leave your opinion on what you think, if you like the Super League, if you don't like the Super League, and as a thank you to Matt, I'm going to put the link of Campo Basso's social medias in the description. Guys, go give Campo Basso a follow. I'm telling you, you're going to love the journey, and do it as a little thank you for Matt coming on. So Matt, first of all, thank you so much for coming on.
Marco, thanks so much. Appreciate it. And let's keep our fingers crossed this doesn't go through.
All right, man. Matt, we'll talk soon. I'll see you around, all right?
It's a big hello out there to all the IFTV fans. Thanks for the support, and keep supporting the IFTV crew. These guys are the best.
Thanks, Matt.
All right. Take care, guys.